Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. We are here to talk about the challenge Battle for a New Champion, episode 18, finale part one. I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts. We have the Vermontian Zoe Trimboli.
Hi, everyone.
Back with us this week is the Southern Luke Muncie.
What's up, guys?
Everyone, we are here for the final, and it's so exciting. Actually, it's just a lot of people running around with GoPro footage, which I always forget every season. And that doesn't always make for the most exciting TV, especially when you know it's two parts, so we're not getting the winner till next week. But part one of the final is here.
The past few weeks that I've been on here, I've said the s'more analogy that Allan said on the very first episode of like, hey, we got the graham cracker, the marshmallow, the chocolate. We're definitely back at the graham cracker. Like, we're probably getting a double dose of graham cracker this week and next week. But while the episode did suck, in my opinion, the past few weeks have carried so much that this is not going to make me change my tune about this season.
I think we've also lost a lot of star power in the last few weeks. So Nerys can only do so much, you know? Unless they want to show her for the entire hour and a half, then so be it.
Hey, check the thumbnail. Okay, it is Nerys Nation up in here. We are a biased podcast. Yeah, I watched you all last week, and you said it's the Nerys show with Jay as a guest star and Olivia maybe being there if her storyline relates to Nerys the star. So that is, I feel like, the perfect way to put it. It's just where we're at with the people we have left.
And to make another food analogy, if Nerys wins, then this becomes a drumstick ice cream cone where it's that little chocolate at the bottom. It's like where you get that perfect little bite at the end. Like I could eat the bottom of a drumstick ice cream cone like forever.
I'm begging, please.
Ooh, but we had a lot of other people talking this episode, unfortunately, that weren't Nerys. I'm kidding. There. I don't know how much I'm kidding.
I'm not kidding.
You're not kidding at all.
Let's just jump into it.
Yeah.
TJ shows up to the club, tells everyone they're in the final. They're all happy. They're all excited. We then go into a segment where they're all at the house, and they're having a little finalist dinner together. They get letters from home. It's actually a pretty emotional moment, and I'll say this. As a person who does not care for a lot of these people, the cynical part of me was like, Emmanuel, I don't care about your girlfriend or anything like that. But then I took a step back and was like, you know what? These people haven't seen their families in months. This probably does hit them emotionally, and good for them.
I'm going to chime in because, yes, the impact is definitely there. But I think they're going for that survivor moment when they used to get letters from home after having no contact for X amount of days. And I get at this point, they've been gone for weeks and weeks and weeks, but they also get to like Zoom call with them, Skype with them. So like, I would rather just go in the back room and call them and be like, hey, how are you? Instead of being like, oh, you're the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, they're not on an island. They're sleeping in rooms with air conditioning. They have whatever. Emmanuel also, it's a reminder that you've been literally boning at least one girl, maybe multiple, off camera, probably in the laundry room. And so your girlfriend just sent you this lovely love letter about how much she misses you and how much she's rooting for you. So it just reminded me why I hate him so much. Because on top of being boring, he's also a dog. He sucks. That did nothing for me for his story, because like him just like being like, oh, I love her so much. You don't.
Yeah, it's just a reminder that you have been nasty, and I'm not saying nasty for having multiple people he's been with. Go for it if you want to. But like when you have a girlfriend, no, that's so bad.
Being single is an important element of that. Like if you're single, do whatever the hell you want, bro. But gross. Grimy.
Yeah.
They went hard playing up on the emotions of people who we just don't care about, which is an interesting move by production.
Well, I mean, Luke really cares about Berna, so.
I'm shocked they didn't ask me to send a letter, to be honest. We are in contact frequently. Let me just say this. Let's talk about Berna's. It was from her brother, which that's really sweet. Like, that's really cool. And yet she couldn't be happy that her brother took the time to write to her. She had to make it a moment of, oh, my mother and me have such a bad relationship. If only it could have been from her, which we randomly saw 3 episodes ago of her talking to Kylan and being disrespectful. And then later being like, it's because my mother doesn't love me. Well, if your mother doesn't love you, what would make you think that she's going to send you a letter? Mind you, production probably had to ask them, who could we get a letter from? They don't know Berna's family. Giving your mom's name and your mom doesn't like you, but also your brother's name, there's the chance that your brother's going to write your letter. So this weird sob story.
Well, also, it was like on the back of Colleen being surprised she got a letter from her mom, and so she couldn't just be a normal person and be happy for Colleen. It had to be a sob story.
I don't like Colleen either, but I will say that was a nice moment. And it's like Berna could not handle for a millisecond someone else having a moment. She's like, this is my time. 2 weeks ago, I randomly said to a man, well, that my mom hates me. Let's make this about me. Let's jump on the ground and throw myself around and have people comfort me when they want to read their letters from their family too.
Girlfriend just cannot manage her own emotions. Like, she can't do it independently.
This is going to be an anti-Berna podcast for me, despite my care. I hope she's killing it on Survivor right now, though. Genuinely. So she doesn't come back before 40 leaves.
We go from this moment to the actual final where they show up in their jerseys, and we get one of the most weirdly produced, I think, moments in challenge history where TJ does these really awkward voiceovers talking about every single person's individual game and journey to this final, and it's just it's so badly produced. It's awful.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. On top of what you just said, it is yet another ploy to look and feel like Survivor. Final 6 episode, you always have the Jeff voiceover explaining every player's game, which makes sense in that context because, like, you might need the reminder. We don't need to be reminded that Colleen sat around the house for 15 weeks. Or go ahead, Zoe.
It's also done as a voiceover with like shots of them. It's not like we're pretending that Jeff is saying it to all of them at the beginning stages of a challenge. Like, that's not how it goes. Like, you would get a snippet of TJ actually acknowledging someone by name and then a really weird long voiceover of what their season was. And I was like, how much, like, was it gun to TJ's head while you made him read all this stuff about these people? Because you know he doesn't give a shit about at least 4 of them.
Well, and it's so funny that, like, at times it would cut back and he would actually be saying what he was saying to that person, but not for all of them. So maybe he just has his favorites, which he does. We've seen the past few weeks, and he said those things. It just read incredibly strange. Also, I'm going to say this too. We were talking a little bit beforehand about how finals just always kind of suck in terms of viewing, but I really do miss, like, changing location, which I know we've said before, but also like helicopter in, make it this big entrance. Like, is someone going to fall out of the helicopter and break their leg? Who knows? But them just walking up in their uniforms they've worn all season long doesn't really do it for me.
Please bring back colored uniforms for season 40. Like, please.
I'm begging.
Yeah.
It's a must. And those little things where it's like guys are having a location change and everyone's partying and going crazy, those are just always like little fun moments that made it feel like the true challenge experience. God, I've liked TJ these last couple of weeks as he's, just absolutely flamed Jay. But TJ Levin has a bag. TJ Levin is like a really good Domino's pizza chef. I like Domino's. That's what he can do certain things. He's not Jeff Probst. He's not.
I don't even blame TJ for this because we know TJ at this point. Like, we know what to expect from him as a viewer. And it's, again, so inauthentic because it's just so far from who he is. This is on production for making this weird choice. Like, the challenge is not Survivor. It does not have to be Survivor. Let it be the challenge.
And speaking of voiceovers, and I think this might transition well into our next point, if you can do these type of voiceovers, why can't you do a voiceover saying there's going to be 2 winners? Just put that in the first episode. Put it in this one. The prize money is going to be split, even if it's low. Who cares? We want a guy and a girl, genuinely, even if it ended up being like Corey Lay and Colleen, which would be like not great for me. This is a season with all people who have never won a show. Let them win 40s next season. Like, where's the mindset here?
The whole idea is to deepen the champion pool, and you are just cutting yourself off at the knees by only having one.
Yeah. It really is a flawed system. And I want to say I listened to Allan's interview with Olivia Michelle, and Michelle even said, like, from the jump, having this be a one-winner season disadvantaged the women. We've said that too. But, like, I can't imagine being a woman in that house knowing this and wanting to give it my all. I don't know. It just, equalizers only go so far. And sometimes the challenge over equalizes and makes it confusing. And I don't know.
Or we get a season like this where people made smart plays. Like they took out Kylan, Horacio, etc. all before the final, but now people are complaining, oh, we're gonna get a really weak winner. So it's so difficult to find that middle ground. Though part of the reason we maybe have one winner, let's talk about that winner's purse, which I will say I am excited that all the top three finishers all get money. TJ announced it as third place getting 36,000, second place getting 70 grand, and first place getting $250,000.
Which, isn't so, I mean, it is bad, but it's not bad. Like World of Worlds 2, which is recent, each person that won got that amount of money. They just split it, the million 4 ways.
Yeah.
It seems like a consolation prize, which we know people don't like.
I am glad 3 people are getting money. I think that that's something that should always just happen. I'm glad when people in the final make money, even if it ends up being 10 grand or less after whatever Uncle Sam takes from them. And I was just trying to think back to older seasons of like what the prize money totals have been. Like, but it all just kind of like blurs in my brain.
Well, the last time I was under $1 million was season 29 Invasion, because Dirty 30, the big thing was that it was $1 million, and it has been on the main show $1 million since.
Yeah, it was. I'm good with this stuff. This is the stuff I'm good at. 31 was $500,000. Because they cut it in half.
Yeah.
Carl won like 390,000, 400,000, which was pretty damn good. I mean, because that's basically she won the same as Jordan and Camilla did the previous season. And then I think it's basically been $1 million since then, though. You're right.
Was Dirty 30 $1 million though? Like that's his dirty secret that he.
Yeah, well,
okay.
That was like, but the thing is, like at that point in time, it had been like between 350 to 375,000 for like 10 years, for forever, and then they upped it to $1 million, which was like such a massive leap. Which when they brought it back down to half, 500,000, that made sense.
Yeah. I just think though, like Ashley on Invasion won $1,121,000, or at 500, $1,121,500. Still a good payout. So like, even if we're going to talk about this in a second, so I'm going to jump ahead. I'm sorry. But even if their first portion, TJ said, you have the ability to earn back some of this money, making the pot 400,000. First and second place, you're both champs. You get X amount. Third place gets 50. I don't know. They hate these people. I mean, I do too, for the most part, but I just can't take it.
I agree. I think it would have been cooler to see them earn more money back than lose more money. Just feels weird. But yeah, they really do hate them, don't they?
Yeah.
I could not believe that, which transitions just to Conquest of the final, where they all had to compete in a challenge together as a 7-person unit. If they don't complete it in an hour, they lose 16 grand from the prize pool. The challenge was they were all tied together by a rope. They ran into like a castle. In this castle, there are a bunch of chests with a bunch of weighted ropes they have to grab. They have to get 3 each themselves to untie themselves from the rope, run back to the starting point, and then they have to do a puzzle / like basically recreate a diagram with ropes.
What was the strategy behind starting to send people back, like, by themselves?
Before I comment on that, because I'm going to comment on that, just backtracking real quick. How cheap can you be? $16,000. I get that it's in line with like what the first stage was, but that's when you say you can win back some of this money you lost in that first stage. Not, oh, we can't throw out 16,000 more dollars to you. Like, what?
It also would have been cool if there was like a way individually they could put money back into the pot while completing this challenge.
Correct. And it's like, y'all really, I'm glad that it's doing well on social media and like people are enjoying the season. They really wanted this to do badly. Why?
Like,
Why
production,
MTV?
they're so bad at their job. Like, there's so many ways to make this so much more interesting, and they're just so bad at their job.
Okay, going back to what you said, what was the strategy about sending people back by themselves? In my head, it was like, well, if you think somebody's weak or has a pulled groin, allegedly, you might send them early to get a head start so they can make it there in time to not slow the team down. But as we saw, Corey Lay was the first to go back. Is he this big, weak man?
Also, if you have your teammates who are still looking for their ropes, wouldn't it be easier to have the entire team looking for the ropes?
God, we are ragey this evening. I love it. But yeah, it would only make sense.
Unless it's like you said, someone with a pulled groin who you have to send back, like, go ahead, take your 2 ropes and go. But like, divide and conquer, like, where is the strategy?
Oh, it was painful to watch for many reasons. A, because I don't care to see people collect ropes, and B, it just was stupid. Like,
Yeah.
what?
The way with that they said it, I think at some point was that the different colored ropes all weighed different amounts. So Corey took those orange ropes because they were the heaviest, and he was like, "Well, I'm the strongest guy, so I'm gonna take the heaviest ropes back right now." But as we saw, he dropped a fucking rope, uh, and because he wasn't running with anyone, like Zoe said, he didn't know until it was way, way too fucking late.
And how did the girls who ran past it not see it? Like, these are some of the dumbest people we've ever had on this show. It's actually unreal. Like, Mariah, how did you not see a bright orange rope in the middle of the path?
Mariah was like, "Ooh, that's a cute little orange rope. I can't wait to tell Corey he has one just like that."
Ugh. And like, it's not even funny because that's probably what her thought process was. Oh my God. And I can't. How do you even drop the rope? How do you run knowing that you've got all these things and not look back every 15 yards just because you're anxious about it because this is a final and money's on the line?
Wouldn't the first thing you do, like, make sure you really have a hold of them?
If not the second, but like,
It's just so frustrating.
well, and like, let me just ask you this. Do you think this is a mission they could have done in an hour?
Yeah.
Me
Because
too.
how many minutes were they when they finally all got there and Corey had to go back? How many minutes were they waiting for Corey? 10?
Probably.
Yeah, because I believe when it said they had all got there, it was like, well, they could be lying to us, but I think it said like 12, 13 minutes. So it took them all that time to get back. And yeah, I think they could have done it. I will say though, one of the it's not even funny, but Jay, when he saw Corey's rope, he yelled, "Oh, he always does this!" And I was just thinking to myself, how often does he does he drop his rope in the middle of the woods?
Oh,
And I will say also from a viewer standpoint, them actually doing that portion of the challenge would have been visually one of the most interesting parts of that final, and we didn't get to see it because they ran out of time.
God.
I was really excited to watch them try to figure this thing out, and then it was like didn't even matter. I didn't even get to see them try. I was so annoyed.
I love the conspiracy of everything, but like, imagine they did all the ropes in like 10 minutes and Corey still got there with like 32 minutes left. But TJ was just like, it's been 42 minutes. Like, damn, that's been so long. Because realistically, if they wanted them to have this money, they could have been like, oh, you're only at 40 minutes. You still got 20. They just hate this cast. They hate us. We couldn't even see, like you said, Zoe, the visually appealing row puzzle that we wanted to see.
We just want to see colors. We're just kids. We want to see colors.
Please, we've been seeing this like weird bluish, grayish purple and random flecks of orange. Please let us see something colorful. Please.
My favorite thing about the colors of this season was that it's like when you're buying something on Amazon and you're like, well, this color costs $8 less. Mm.
Okay, so I'm back. I'm sidetracking. I don't care. I did like the uniforms this season just because they weren't straight up gray, but I would have liked if they each had an orange set and a blue set, and they told them on which days to wear what. But instead, Kylan just had orange, whereas Narish just had the weird blue. It never was cohesive. The leggings had like flames on them.
I also think there should be rules about how high up you can pull your shorts.
Well, no comment. I feel like this season, and I said this to myself. I don't know. I'm saying it like I've said it to you all. Should have been green. Green is a growth, new beginnings, like blah blah blah. Like they could have done different variations of the color green. I'm sure Under Armour has lots of them in stock, as no one has bought Under Armour in 15 years at this point. Forest green, lime green, neon green, regular green, yellow green, blue green, teal even. But this.
Allan, please make sure you just caption this part in the thumbnail colors. Like, we need to move on from this.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm like just really okay, sorry.
Look. Luke's color knowledge was very impressive. It was really cool. $16,000 is just such a fuck you amount. Also, I'm just like, it's such a fuck you amount. Like, what? They fucking hate these people, though. You're right.
Well, and then he announces to them that, like, okay, third place loses the 6, second loses the 10, but we can't take from first.
Also,
oh my God, you're so noble.
And why are we taking more from second place than from third place? But whatever.
Correct.
This is just me nitpicking at this point.
They don't know what they're doing. Nobody knows what we're doing here. After this conquest portion, though, TJ announces we're going to have an elimination. You got to vote someone in, and then everyone's looking around, and it's like, well, Corey dropped the fucking rope. Like, just plain and simple. Corey dropped the rope. You're going in, buddy.
Except for Manuel, who
and
said
Colleen.
Narice.
And
Colleen is such a non-factor to me at this point. I have flicked her out of my brain because
she's obsessed with Narice. And not in a good way. Not like us.
No.
Emmanuel also has weird hater energy for Narice. Like they're both weird. I have nothing nice to say.
I have nothing nice to say, and I'm going to make implications I don't want to. So they're just weirdos. Corey votes for himself, which I mean, at that point, I think you have to just do that. A, it was going his direction, but B, like he did screw them over, whether it be a small monetary amount. Still money in their pocket if they get first, second, third. But I love that when TJ gives him the option to choose, he says, I'm not going to choose a woman because if I don't win, I want a woman to win. It's certainly not going to be Narice. She's fought her way there. And TJ even says Narice is the only person to win an elimination to be in this final, which is crazy. I'm not an advocate for skulls, but perhaps in the most recent portion, there could have been something. I think last week Zoe had said, let it be if you win a daily or an elimination, just really up the ante there, which maybe those people would have that criteria. I don't know. I don't care to go back and look, but I'm glad he just didn't say Narice.
Yeah, it was following a big L. Corey came up with a rare W.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he also is like, okay, I like these people. I like this people. Who's the only shady little sketchball left? And calls Jay out for in his confessional, not out loud. He does not say, Jay, you move weird. I think you're sketchy. I think you've used all the people here. I don't think you actually respect any of us, which is what it really was.
Yeah.
But I love that he was like, I just don't like him very much. And he's a threat, so I might as well beat him now.
It makes sense to me. Also propels Corey up in the trajectory of like what he's done this season, which is minuscule, but
He jumped to number 2 for me, so
yeah.
It's such a clear number 2 as well. It's like Nerys is in the sky, he's a little bit off the ground, and then everyone is 10 feet below the ground. That's not.
I'm going to talk about spoilers, not actually spoil. Bear with me. This is not a spoiler. Whenever spoilers were coming out and we saw who the final was, I was like, in what world am I rooting for Corey Lay as my second person, even before seeing this? But the others just suck. I don't know.
I'll say this: everything Corey said in that little moment, though, from like I'm not going for Nerys, I want a woman to win, and then everything. I felt it was almost too right. I was a little bit like caught off guard.
it really was.
I was like, has he been reading my blogs? I know he's on the show right now, but has he been reading my content? Has he been reading Twitter for this moment? Because it felt, hey, I support all those choices. It was just so perfect that I was just shook.
Well, he definitely understands how he's perceived, and sometimes he freaks out about that. I've been vocal that he has been weird to me on Twitter. I'm pro Corey now because he keeps liking my Ashley tweets. Did he post a picture of my face on his Twitter and say like, "What a freak," blah blah blah? Because I made a comment about him and Michaela when he had his weird spat about her. Yes, he did that. Is that normal behavior? No. Did I gain a lot of followers from that because people said I looked pretty? Yes. But we're cool now. If he were to come on another season, which don't see it for him, I might consider rooting for him.
I like Corey because he actually does like read and watch content and like he follows the stuff. Doesn't always agree with it, but it's like he can take he can laugh every now and then, and sometimes he can't laugh. Sometimes he overreacts, but yeah.
I'm gonna like keep an eye on Corey because he's still like unpredictable to me, but not always in a fun way. Like if he can keep it cute and not like be lash out at 2 girls who have no friends in the house, and like
I think it's a classic case, and Zoe, I think, says this often about people. Like, I don't like them on the show, but I feel like outside of it, take out the competition, I think he'd be a cool person to hang around.
I hope so.
Yeah, I was trying to give a compliment there. But anyways, him and Jay go into this elimination, and it's a balance stacking puzzle type.
Yeah, they had to run around. They had a little parkour, little course where there's puzzle pieces in like a tree and stuff like that. Grab it out, then run to a little puzzle area where they would have to balance a table using their foot in kind of like a yoga-esque pose, and then they would have to stack a bunch of oddly shaped blocks into a tower, hold it still. There, you can do it in any order as long as it stays up there, like completely fine. Whoever does it first wins.
Corey took off like a bat out of hell. Where the hell has this guy been? Because as we know, I have been saying Corey does not have what it takes to win this final because I have not seen that like competitive spirit or effort from him once this season. But all of a sudden this elimination starts and it's like he's a different human being.
I don't want to give him too much credit, but he is someone who I could genuinely see doing this. And so this is a lot of credit. So if you're listening, have it. He was kind of in a good spot after those first few weeks. What benefit would he have to go hard in these dailies and win and put himself in a position to make enemies when he knew his numbers had him right there in the middle? I don't think he is a dumb person. Why would he need to try so hard?
I don't know if it's just even just the way he like moves in some challenges. I like there's sometimes I would watch him and I'm like, he just does not appear that athletic to me.
Yeah, fair.
He's not like super flexible, and whenever he's up in heights, he's like he's afraid. He's just straight up afraid of heights. But I've seen him in some swimming challenges be pretty good in the water. In this moment though, it was just pure like physicality where he's like, oh yeah, I'm like 6'3", 230. Let me just sprint through this like nothing. And it was badass. And Zoe, something you complained about, like the daily challenges haven't been super physical. And even though this wasn't like a physical challenge per se, the parkour aspect, he dominated physically.
He was so confident too. Like I had to rewind it and watch it back because it was just so fast. Like, we've seen what Jay can do physically. Like, we've seen him be an impressive physical competitor. And so the fact that I know Corey's fast because he's like, Jay says because he's taller. I don't think that makes someone automatically faster than you. But like, he torches Jay in the beginning and it's just like so locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think how fast he was rattled Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. Jay was so frazzled.
I think the moment that Corey called out Jay, Jay was frazzled, but put on the face of braveness and bravado. And then every moment after that, Corey just continued to frazzle him more and more, and he just kept trying to pretend he was cool more and more.
Yeah, the energy of like is there's something about his expression and his tone when Corey picks him that like you can tell it's like a total psychopath trying to keep it inside their body. Like it made me so uncomfy watching him.
Yeah, because I feel like Jay neglected to realize that he had these numbers because of Michelle. We've discussed this, we know this, but I really think that Jay expected Corey to pick a girl. Like, oh, he'll pick a girl. It's a physical thing at first. It's not going to be me. But no. Again, Corey, number 2. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Hey, this is also just a big come up from him calling out Huey on that other season he was on, whatever that was called.
Spies, Lies, and Allies, episode 25. Yeah, that was fun.
Look, I was about to just say Double Agents. I straight up was going to call it Double Agents. I didn't even know the season. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But big come up from that. Corey stacks his puzzle very quickly based on the reactions of everyone in the crowd, where like it looked like Jay and Corey were pretty close in the moment, but the crowd reaction was like stunned by how quickly Corey did it. So he crushed this.
Jay also had like a stack and he was moving it over onto his like actual thing where he was supposed to put his blocks, and it was just a lack of concentration. He just dropped it and they all fell, and then Jay was done for.
Oh, he was done for. I don't want to jump the gun. So somebody say something else, and then I've got so much to say about a certain thing that Jay did.
I mean, this is where I would insert my "he had it coming" gif from Chicago. Like, this is when this moment happens. That is exactly what I was singing, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy to be the first one kicked out of the final.
Yeah.
This
It is just poetic justice for someone who thought they had the game in their hands to be the first out of the final. So now, like, I don't know. He can say he's made it to a final, sure. Oh, how'd you do? I was eliminated 30 minutes into it.
By Corey.
By Corey. Oh, who else was there? Colleen and Berna. Oh, okay. Good. Good on you. So, okay, I'm just going to jump into what I was going to say because I think it's so interesting to me, the dynamic of it. He doesn't even get a confessional goodbye. Like, he does say there, like, it's been good, whatever. Huh? But he says, Narish, you better take this home, yada, yada, yada. Gag, 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 gag. Because in my head, it was either A, okay, the competition's over for him. He can hone in on what's actually in front of him and support his friend. But in my opinion, it was, oh, shoot, I thought I was going to make all this money and look really appealing. Narice is probably a connection for him for a lot of people in Los Angeles where they both live, because if you think back, if you follow them, like Narice has a lot of social media friends and Jay has been in on that. She's going to go back home and say, hey, he dogged me out. Like, he really was trying to get me sent home. He stood in the way to my money. That one little, like, go win that money, Narice, you better kill it, does not undo the past several weeks that we've seen when they've been friends since X on the Beach 2. That is forever ago. Sorry,
Well, No, I thought it too, because I was like, this is like a pathetic ploy to get back in her good graces. And I think it also demonstrated just how little he actually respects and cares about the people who've been doing his dirty work. Like, he does not give a fuck about any of these other people. He does not care about them. He does not respect them. He clearly dragged them along as people he thought he could beat. So the fact that these were like his loyal people, and this is the reason he was throwing Nerys under the bus last week, and these are the people that have been like committed to him and he can trust, and he, in their face, says he's rooting for the one person that was not on their side.
I had not even considered that side of it. Wow. What a weasel.
He is a weasel.
What do you guys? Okay, so I'm gonna give a little plug to a little podcast called Challenge Mania. It's got a guy from it named Derek Kosinski. He was on a few seasons of the challenge. Um, Derek, I think, recently said on the podcast that Michelle and Jay apparently aren't talking to each other anymore, which is like you're talking about like Jay's social media life on his social life in LA with Nerys. They're obviously not on good terms anymore. If Michelle's cut him off, then I don't really know where Jay stands in this reality TV world anymore.
On Twitch. That's why he looks so sad and pathetic on Twitch every night. I don't watch them. I want to be very clear about this. It keeps popping up on my For You scroll page on TikTok.
Me too. I feel like Jay should be a lock for 40. I'm sorry. I know I dislike him. He should be a lock. And if anything, they should.
Yeah, I want to see him back because I want to see him get embarrassed.
For sure. I'm just going to say Kyland, Horacio, Jay, Olivia, Michelle, Nerys should be 6 locks for 40. It makes no sense otherwise. And to really strengthen the dynamics there, throw in Michaela. Sure, she was just on Spots, Lies, and Alice for an episode. She did great on USA too. The dynamic between her and Michelle and her and Jay is something that you cannot really manufacture. I want to go to casting and say, why are you not offering people more money? Why are you not shortening the amount of time it films if it means you can get good TV? Just because you film for 22 weeks does not mean you're going to get 22 good episodes.
Seriously.
I'm ranting tonight. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We got to fill up time. We don't want to. Oh, they ran this way. Then they ran this way during the final. We got to talk about other stuff. I will say,
Yeah.
Luke, I'll be honest. I know we're talking about Jay here. I don't want Olivia on the show anymore. I'm gonna be real because I don't really think she has a place because she's just being apologetic and nice. She's not gonna lead into the villain role, and it's hard. You can't 100% root for her as a good guy anymore. So I don't think she has a place in this franchise anymore. I don't.
I just said that because she's clearly being pushed as one, but I agree, and not to hate on her because I understand wanting to be a good person.
Yeah.
You can do that outside of reality TV. But her interviews, even with you, it was like, I wish them all the best. We're hot and cold right now, yada, yada. Part of that reads to me as wait till I put out my podcast about it, which get your money, do your thing. But like play into this game. Like there's a reason Amanda Garcia just had her home turf got or put out on YouTube. She's not great at this game per se. She is great for this game. She's had great seasons. She has loyalty. She has great assets that have never gotten her to even a final. But she plays the game unapologetically, does not apologize to people she does not feel sorry for. And she is desperately loyal, even when it faults her game. It might be stupid, but we love to see it. Olivia's doing nothing. Sorry, Zoe, I keep rambling.
No, I was just going to say, Olivia can't play an Amanda Garcia game, though, because Amanda is not a victim. Amanda is...
She says that. Zoe's not watched Home Turf yet. Amanda literally says, do not see me as a victim ever. I love that you say that.
She owns everything she does. She's not scared of anyone. She's not looking for pity. Like, and even if she gets into some sort of conflict or something, it's never like, they're the bad guy. Don't you feel bad for me? It's just like, nah, this is how I see it. And that's what I'm going to do. Like, Olivia, we saw it this season. Anytime things weren't going her way, it was like, poor me. Nobody cares about me. It's like giving Cara Maria. OG Cara Maria.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get it.
So it's just like, she can't. And she's not good enough at any aspect of the game to be a power player.
Yeah, she can't come into a game like Tori did on War of the Worlds 2 and get the fans back on her side by winning those eliminations and like kicking ass as a competitor. So I just don't know where he fits.
Agree. To her credit, though, if you've seen her Instagram stories recently, she has been hitting the gym.
He does
Like,
look great.
She looks,
yeah.
and I
I
want
think
to say, I think she's always looked great. I think the fact that
same.
she sort of looks like a bigger girl on our television is insane because her body's ridiculous. She's just up there with girls who are like size zeros.
She's
Like,
just very tall too. Like on Love Island, she even says like, "I'm gonna be seen as a bigger girl, but like I'm just tall."
Yeah.
So yeah, she's always looked great, but she looks toned, like
Yeah.
muscle. Like
Yeah.
she could maybe do some damage. Because let's be real, she's probably gonna be on 40. She's in
Yeah.
all the promo, all the press.
Well, I hope that she comes in guns blazing then. Do something.
That's the hope. If she just comes in apologetic and be like, "Oh, be nice to me," we don't need it. Now, how does this relate to Jay getting eliminated? Well, it doesn't. But Jay's fucking eliminated. He's out of here. Goodbye. I will say Corey was like, we were all used and manipulated by him, like Zoe said earlier. And it's like, and now he's gone. It's like, no. All the people he was really going for, they're gone. They're not here. You kind of reap the benefits.
Yeah. Well, and like to the point you made last week, this just knocks out another person that I could potentially root for. And that might seem crazy, but like it's fun to see the villain win. Like if Jay won and laughed in their faces, sure, like the general audience would be like, ugh. But in some sense, it'd be like, well, that's a pretty good storyline he had this season.
It's the team.
It would take me back to Battle of the Seasons, you know?
I was saying, it's like it's a team San Diego win, which like sometimes you got to watch the world burn. Sometimes you got to have a villain win, just to remind people. That's how the world works sometimes.
Yeah.
And it'll make the good guy winners feel that much better when they do win.
It also would just be.
He doesn't win, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Jay.
Goodbye. Now we have a final going on where these 6 players are going to be paired up into 5 portions, all timed each in the chaos section. Once again, chaos is just not very chaotic. It's they don't really know what the word chaos really means. It's a pretty standard final format we've seen a lot of times, and yeah.
But it favors the men.
Yeah.
It does
so
because
is.
most of these things required physicality or, dare I sound stereotypical, stomaching food, which men on the show have historically done better. If you're a man, well, I forgot his name for a second, or Corey, you're good. But if you're a girl getting paired with another girl, some of these strength-based things, they're not as strong as Emmanuel and Corey.
It's so frustrating that they still haven't figured. If they're going to do this one winner thing and you haven't figured out a way to do true equalizers, maybe don't do this one winner thing. Why did they even have to be in pairs for this portion? Why couldn't it all have been individually timed? And why couldn't they have things to carry or move around that were relative to their body weight? Like, it's just so frustrating to see this happen again.
Well, and I'm beating a dead horse, but we don't need one winner ever. Ever. Make Ninja Natalie a champ. Make Zach Nichols a 2-time champ. Hunter's a champ. We don't need one winner. We don't watch the show to say, thank God that one person pulled that out. We want to see champs. We want to see them. That's why on World of Worlds 2, I didn't really like Rogan nor D. We got 2 new champs, baby. Thank God.
And look
Jenny
at where they
West?
are now.
Well, okay. Sorry,
I'm kidding. But I agree. It was so awesome to have 2 new champs and then come into the next season where people are just like eyeing them, like, oh, they think they have this arrogance to them, and it's just they come in with the storyline of being returning champs, and yeah.
I get so stuck on, if you're going to make this the way that you insist on making it with the stupid one winner thing, do a better job at equalizing it for the women.
And can I just say, the second they started, Berna started crying about her pulled groin. I cannot do it. Then you should have quit 20 minutes before when there was an elimination, when somebody who was going to compete for the money could have done it. Like, that's not noble.
Yeah, now they're just stuck with her crying. I honestly, on some level, was hoping that she would quit, and they were like, "No, Jay's 5 minutes that way, so Jay, you're back in." I didn't want that, but like,
Well, we find out at the end of this episode that they are going to have another elimination. They could have just had it then. Okay, Berna's out. Let's eliminate somebody else.
yeah, why not? There, I just don't even really understand why they had to be in rotating pairs. I don't understand why. It's really not that chaotic because they've done it for every other final. It's not. There's nothing chaotic about it.
I just can't. I can't deal with it.
Anyway,
You guys want to talk about the individual portions, or just want to skip to the end? Like, because we can talk about every single little thing in it, or
I don't want to. We might just hit on some of the high notes maybe because it was very boring. The reason I brought up Berna's groin is because she does win around with Emmanuel and leaps into his arms. He has two arms. And I'm like, your groin is not pulled. This is clearly, there are athletes, and we all know them, who when it's high stakes, it's the state championship, it's the bowl game, it's whatever, suddenly they are injured. What? I could give an anecdote. I'm not going to because it doesn't matter. But no, this is it. If you're injured, you push through for this specific thing. There's nothing after it. You're not guaranteed to call back, Berna. Like, hater.
oh, you're talking to a master excuse maker here, Luke. I'm a big pre-complain. Like, guys, I just need you to know it was arm day yesterday. If I missed this shot right now, I just need you, everyone, like, oh, my finger here. Everyone, you see my finger? It's messed up. That's why it's going on.
But if the
So
stakes were $1 million, well, if the stakes were $250,000, like, I just don't follow. She is the worst type of person. Please go back to this. I love her.
you had a whole thing, and then you just reeled back. Like, you know what? I love her. Let's move on. I'm just so tired of talking about this fucking bitch's groin.
Okay, yes, and let's talk about other people. I'm going to be the first person to be honest about this, and I think that we can agree, all of us. Nerese did not have that impressive of a showing.
I was really hyped for her when she got to that tangram, and then she did not do well with the tangram. I just felt bad for her because I think in her head too, she was like, "Oh, I got this. Like, I just did this. I can do this again." And for her mind to just go blank, I was bummed. She also got paired with Colleen for one of the portions that was the biggest screw you to the women, having to carry those boxes twice.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual portion that Colleen can't do, which is the rope on the blade or whatever. Yeah. Not Nerese's best showing. She actually does her best with Berna,
Yeah.
of all people. But it wasn't very equal.
No, and I'm glad you said that so I don't sound like I'm coming off wrong. She didn't perform well because the cards were stacked against her for a lot of them. And it just hurts my little Nerese Nation heart.
Yeah, well, and she gets Emmanuel, who is the best partner to have for the eating portion, which like you just have to do that however you do it. Some people are good at it, some are not.
Yeah, I thought she was very tough-minded and showed perseverance through this final, especially in that rope portion with Colleen, where she like basically cut open her hand and was just still pushing through. But as we know, they timed out. But she did try her best. It's not like she didn't show heart like some people like, Berna literally quitting on Mariah early in the first portion, and then having to be reminded by everyone, hey, you have to go back and push that hamster wheel. There are times where Mariah just straight up just checked out because that's who Mariah is, because she just checks. I don't know. She turns off her brain for minutes at a time.
Orange rope.
James.
So, yeah, wasn't the best Nerese performance. We won better, but I do think she showed toughness.
Ton of heart.
Side note, I'll get right back off this. They released the Celebrity X on the Beach cast for the UK today, and Callum is on there, and so is James. And I'm like, will we see Mariah Michelle? How cool would that be? Anyways. Very side note. We'll push that right to the side.
I don't think we'll see Mariah because I don't think she has a personality for UK reality TV. No offense.
I'd love to see her get eaten up.
Me too. She's a sweet girl, but like I would love to see it.
I do think I'm not saying that Michelle has the fighting personality for reality TV, but I do think Michelle would love to be on a dating show. So I could very much see her doing that.
Yeah. And that shows how interesting this episode was. Emmanuel clearly dominated this. Dare we say some of it was tailored to him, if not a lot of it. Corey, too, for that respect. Colleen, that, uh, yeah. I just have to like soothe myself by like bouncing back and forth and thinking about them because, whoa.
Emmanuel killed this final today. Just absolutely dominated. But he's a very good competitor. We've been saying it all season. I still don't think he's better than Horacio and Kyland. So
No.
it's like one of those things where people are going to say, how did they overlook Horacio? Or how did they overlook Emmanuel? Again, I just think Kyland, Horacio, and Ed are better than him. And if they were in the same final, they would be performing just as well, if not better.
He's not
We also,
better than Kieran. That got eliminated like episode 3. Like it just, he got lucky.
we also just eliminated Jay, who I think would have been the most like accurate comparison to see how well he actually was doing in this final. I really hate it. I really, really hate it, guys. And he's so obsessed with Nerys. I'm really curious to see what he does with the power he has at the beginning of next week.
Yeah. So we get told that there's going to be another elimination. Emmanuel gets to make a choice. He's safe, obviously, as the winner. I think it's pretty clear what he's going to do. I don't think he sees Corey as a threat. I think that he's blindly loyal, which I just said that was great for Amanda. It's great when you have a personality. It's not when you just like choose the worst people in the world to be loyal to when they just sit there. It's probably going to be Nerys going in.
It's 100%. Yeah, it's
Yeah, because at the
100.
beginning of the episode, he voted her in. So she's going in.
And then Nerys is going to face, who is she going to call out? She's not going to call out Corey. It's either Berna or Colleen is probably going to get called out, I would say.
Berna
I
makes
know
sense.
with the groin, but honestly, like I think if I were her, I would call out Colleen.
Well, because Colleen's been like obsessed with her.
Yeah. She's smaller than Berna. Like, I guess it just depends if she can see what it is.
I hate this.
We knew it would happen. Luckily, it happened on the second to last episode. Thank God. Thank God.
Will there be no punishment for last, or like was it just first place or nothing? Because if so, we just wasted a bunch of time in this final.
The punishment is their individual time, but we can never trust that anyways.
Is this individual time counting towards their total time, or is it just going to be like, this is okay, Manuel, you win, and we're starting fresh on the next portion?
Probably that, which I do not like.
Well, I hate they do that. They've done this. They did it with All Stars 2. Also, like you have these crazy portions of this final, and then you basically say, okay, none of it matters. We're just starting over. Like I just don't understand it. Yeah. They did it to Zach on Vendettas too.
Yeah. That Vendettas ending was a choice.
Production is terrible. Like they really don't know how to do their job.
They aired that during the reunion, right? Was it they aired the finale during the Carl winning during the reunion? So we didn't even got a finale where we didn't see the ending.
It wasn't until the second episode of the reunion. They had what's his name? Jordan berating Cara about how she's a bad competitor. He knew she won. And then they showed it, and then the show ended. She cried, which good for her. Like she did that last portion.
They really did her so dirty.
But if you're production, I'm sorry. Let's talk about it. Your final 6 at this point, Nerys is the only tried and true MTV girl. I would be rigging for her. Forget the second day. Nerys is going to be solving tanagrams all day and balancing obscure objects and jumping over nets and throwing flags over nets. That's what we're doing. I just don't get And I'm joking, by the way, but like, why would you put her in this final that she's going to struggle at, knowing the episodes you have just filmed? And I'm sure they do it well after the fact, but they have seen her trajectory. They know who she is.
So frustrating. I was watching this episode with a friend, though, who doesn't watch it regularly. They only watch it with me every once in a while. And she immediately fell in love with Nerys because, you know, obviously. I also did say the second the episode started, we like her.
Yeah.
But I was explaining Nerys's personality and how she actually has one. And I was like, this is why we miss our MTV people. Because our MTV people are just so much better in terms of having an authentic, interesting story, personality, layers to them. Like, they're just better for the show.
And the argument is that people from CBS are more recognizable. Sure, that does not equate for all the internationals. And this is another tangent. Sorry, not sorry. On the treadmill yesterday, I watched the best Are You the One fights. It was like a 30-minute video. Those people who are younger than most of the people on the cast these days, even now, would make such good TV if only MTV had really showed their storyline, put them on directly after their season, because Are You the One was hot. People watched it. But no, now we're left with like probably 50 people that could have done the show in some capacity that we will never see again because MTV prioritized Berna Candlebeck from Turkey and Colleen. What even is her last name? We don't care.
Even like if we go back as far as vendettas with like Victor, who was embarrassed to be on the show, and
that's how I get frustrated when people do interviews and they're like, I never heard of the challenge before. And they called me and I figured I'd just do it. When there are people who know what it is and like would show out, Kyle being an exception because like I think he did do his thing. But like Victor, he was CBS, like they loved him. He went back in the house 3 separate times. I think he got player of the whatever. I don't know. You don't have any other options. Like show some gusto. And instead he just didn't. Whereas someone from Are You the One would have already been in a screaming match 40 minutes in.
I think part of the reason we're on this tangent is because we have people like Emmanuel in this final who are looking like they're in a pretty good position to win right now, especially considering all the background we've gotten on him in the last couple episodes. And it's just so frustrating because we know we have great candidates sitting at home.
Yeah.
And that's not even like people will be like, oh, Emmanuel's a good competitor. Like, I just don't care. I just don't even care because he's a good competitor, but he's not the most elite competitor I've ever seen. It's not like I'm watching a Jordan where it's like this guy, when he competes, I'm amazed. He's a good player. He's not the most amazing one. He's the best player here left, but it doesn't make up for his lack of personality and his corniness.
Nor that he was ride or dies with Emi Alupe, who is one of the biggest freaks we've seen on the show. Like Berna being like, that's my ride, or Colleen's like, I'm gonna save Berna's ride or die, man. Well, it's like that's not her ride or die. She wasn't called for that. Nor was he. Well, he was actually. He got dropped at the airport with Emmy. Oops. But like, there's nothing redeemable about him. You hooked up with Michelle, said you loved her, then hooked up with Tori, was weird about it. I don't care about any of these people except for Nerys.
Yeah. Hooked up with / flirted with Olivia Raven, hooked up with Colleen off camera, all while having a girlfriend.
Well, it just reminds me of Final Reckoning. Obviously, I love Ashley, but her and Hunter could have been great to see win. Joss and Sylvia had a great story. They'd been there since the beginning, had never been eliminated, never went to redemption. Polly and Natalie, as annoying as they are, like they had an interesting story there. And then Cara and Marie, I would have been fine with any of those pairings winning because they would have brought something to the show for the next season, could have put a capstone on the season as a whole. If any of these people win except for Nerys, I do not care about this season as a whole. I care about it. I've enjoyed it. But it's not going to be one that I'm like, wow, that was a cohesive, really solid season. I think back to Double Agents. Happy for Amber B. But like, that was Cam's season to win. The way that it was edited, MTV just, I got to stop. MTV does not care about their women at all. You can say, why would they rig for somebody? I don't care. They rigged for Ashley to win Final Reckoning. I love it. They should have rigged.
They didn't even have to rig. They just had to have 2 winners.
Well, I'm just talking about Double Agents for this. They should have rigged for Cam. But for this, yes, they should have just had 2 winners.
Or even Leroy. If Leroy wins that season on his retirement
Leroy and
season,
Nani winning, it's like, okay, cool. They're best friends from Vegas. Show the montage.
it was his retirement season. He might not be retired, but that was I agree.
His first retirement. I just hate it. They do not know what people want to see. Amber B is, I believe at this point, one of the most under-edited winners of this franchise, because I remember watching, knowing that she'd won, being like, where's her confessional? Oh, she's making pizza rolls? Oh, she's in the background? The only people who've been edited a lot in this show so far are Nerys and Berna. If Berna wins, take me out. Take me out. I'm serious. Take me out.
She'll take you out, though. Like, she'll take you out to dinner.
She asked. I mean, what? Just kidding. I'm angry. We have hit the graham cracker of this podcast, too.
We've been rambling.
We're spiraling.
We're having a good time. Not really, but a little bit. We're friends here, but this episode was not our best, guys. No, I would say this podcast episode was good. The episode we're reviewing, not great. We had a fun time. We hope you all had a fun time too, listening to us. Subscribe to us. Spotify, iTunes, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Next week, it'll be better because we'll have finality of the season. We're going to come in hot. We're going to have some strong reactions no matter who wins. And
That's true.
Yeah.
See you next week. Pray for All Stars 4.
Have a great weekend, everyone.